Hi, I'm Mary B. Seyfried, and welcome to the Unsuitable podcast. My first guest, aka my guinea pig, aka very, very brave friend of mine, her name is Nana. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this interview. She's so full of wisdom, and her voice is so melodious and soothing. I could listen to her speak all day. We met through a writers group at church, and I'm just going to read you her full bio because it's really legit, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Nana Brew Hammond is the author of Powder Necklace, which Publishers Weekly called a winning debut. Named among 39 of the most promising African writers under 39, her short fiction was included in the anthology Africa 39, New Writing from Africa South of the Sahara. Her work has also appeared in Everyday People, The Color of Life, a short story anthology, African Writing, Los Angeles Review of Books, Sunday Salon, and the short story collection Woman's Work. Forthcoming from Brew Hammond in 2019 are a children's picture book and a short piece in the fiction anthology Accra Noir. Brew Hammond was a 2018 Ake Art and Book Festival guest author, a 2018 Hobart Festival of Women Writers guest author, a 2017 Aspen Ideas Festival scholar, a 2016 Hedgebrook Writer-in-Residence, a 2015 Rhode Island Writer-in-Residence, and in both 2015 and 2014, she was shortlisted for a Miles Moreland Writing Scholarship. In April 2015, she was the opening speaker at TEDx Accra. Every month, Brew Hammond co-leads a writing fellowship at Manhattan's Center for Faith and Work. Also noted for her personal style, Brew Hammond's fashion sense has been captured by New York Magazine, Essence Magazine, Paper Magazine, and the New York Times, among many other outlets. Recently, she co-founded a made-in-Ghana coat line, Exit 14, which was featured on Vogue.com. Currently, Brew Hammond is at work on a new novel. I'm so excited for y'all to hear this interview, so I'm going to stop talking and let Nana do the talking now. Hi, Nana. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mary B. Thank you so much for having me.
We're just going to dive right in. Could you tell me about a time that you felt unsuitable?
Yes, I have felt unsuitable many times, but I think particularly two instances come to mind. My mom was trying to set me up with someone, and then my aunt was trying to set me up with someone. And in the first instance, it was communicated to me like, oh, you don't have to broadcast your age. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the second time, age wasn't discussed, but I remember thinking to myself, I had on a head wrap, and I was just like, thank God I have this head wrap on so she can't see my gray hairs. And I just felt like if they knew, I would be exposed and I wouldn't be suitable for this, whatever this setup was about anyway, you know?
Yeah. And when you say it was an aunt, that's not like an actual it was an actual member
It was
of
an
your
actual
family?
member of my family, my mom's younger sister.
Don't let them know how old you are.
Well, she didn't say that. It was more my mom. My mom is much more conscious of things like that.
Yeah.
My aunt didn't say it. I just remember feeling the residual effects of don't say your age.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just kind of carried over into the second conversation.
Yes.
So has family kind of played a big role then in your thoughts on singleness and marriage?
Absolutely. My family is very sprawling and very close, and everyone's in each other's business. And, everyone means well for the most part, and, is asking questions like, what's going on? When are you getting married? What's happening, you two? My sister and I are single, and we're the eldest of the grandchildren and the cousins. So it's like at every wedding, it comes up, and that is frustrating. But at the same time, it's heartbreaking because believe me, I want this more than you do. Yeah. But, it's hard to kind of keep answering the same questions over and over and over again. Like, I don't know why I'm single. I really don't. I don't know. And I've done everything you said. So I'll thank you for your suggestions, but thank you.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know, that seems to be pretty across the board. A lot of families put that kind of pressure on you.
Absolutely.
But maybe since your family is Ghanaian and it's a lot more of a communal culture, and so I wonder if there's a little bit more of that kind of being up in your business feeling.
I wonder too. I think for sure Ghanaian culture is definitely very family based. Family is the cornerstone of the culture and life there. And you know, the way things are set up, it's like the way we think of extended family here, it's not the same way there. Like your aunt and your uncles are considered like your mother and your father, like your other mother and father. You know, your mom's big sister is your big mom, and you know, your mom's little sister is your little mom, and your cousins are your brothers and sisters. So there is this feeling that, you know, whatever is happening with a family member is a reflection on the entire family. And so when it comes to singleness, there is this feeling like, whoa, what's going on in that family that my sister and I are both single, that these two women are single. And it's a family crisis, and everyone's got to like come together, huddle together, and figure out how to fix this problem, you know? So there's a sense of an additional weight, an additional pressure, because who wants to be a bad reflection on their family? Nobody, you know? So.
Yeah, and then, you know, living in New York, it's such a different environment. There are just so many people here who aren't married, and you have, you know, you're a writer, you also have this fashion line. You have a lot to be proud of in your life. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just, I don't know. And your family's super supportive of all of that. I mean, your clothing line is with your mom and your sister.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're still super close with your family, even though there's this pressure on, I don't know, creating your own family.
Yes. I mean, it's, again, you know, life is such that, you know, we all live with trauma and pain, and we just keep going. So it's not as if, you know, oh my goodness, being around my family is this albatross. It's not that at all. Like I said, in some ways I appreciate that, you know, they're concerned and that they're, you know, wanting this for me as much as, well, not as much, but close to as much as I want it for myself. But it's, I mean, it is what it is, and they are supportive, and they all mean well. So, I mean, you just have to take it for what it is. But yeah, I do have a lot of other things going on in my life, and so I think it's the whole single thing comes in waves. There are times when it's, you know, feels like more of a crisis than it doesn't, and you know, you just kind of keep going. Every day's a new day. Yeah,
for sure. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to be in business with your family?
Yeah, it's great, actually.
Well, first, can you talk a little bit about what the business is? Yeah, give a little bit of background.
Yes. Okay.
And
so
then we'll get into the dynamics.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's called Exit 14, and it is. Right now, it's a coat and accessories company that it's all made in Ghana. There's a specific fabric that is native to northern Ghana that's called batakari, and it's a cotton that is just woven into these beautiful panels of fabric, and they're all kind of bespoke patterns. You can custom make a pattern, you can custom dye the threads, everything, you know, to make it what you want it to be. And what's so cool about this fabric is because the northern part of Ghana has more desert-like climate, The cotton is woven in such a way that it repels wind, but it also traps heat. So it's the perfect kind of lightweight coat. So when we kind of fell in love with it for ourselves, and we started making coats just because we were like, we don't only want to wear things from Ghana in the summertime when we're here. And people noticed it, thought they were really cool. And we got featured on Vogue.com, and that was amazing. So we are slowly expanding, but it's eventually going to be a lifestyle company with home goods, more accessories, menswear.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk about how, because you're a writer by
Yes.
trade and your sister's a teacher
Yes.
by trade. So
Yes.
how did you decide to start this company?
Yeah. Well, like I said, being from Ghana, in Ghana, they don't really have, or they didn't for a long time, a real like ready to wear market. A lot of clothing you would get was made by seamstresses and tailors. And so from very young, and when I went to live in Ghana when I was 12, I was getting clothes made for me. So from age 12, I understood getting things that are custom to me. And so I started understanding, like, this fabric works better for this kind of design, and, all that kind of stuff. So I had always been making stuff. My sister, my mom, the same thing. And my grandmother actually used to moonlight as a seamstress. So
wow.
we've always kind of been, as a family, really into kind of getting things made. And so, again, we fell in love with the Batakari fabric, started making things for ourselves, and it just kind of evolved. And this one day, we all wore our coats, and we all, like, couldn't take 2 steps without people stopping us on the street and being like, where did you get that? Wow. And so we all, like, were on a group WhatsApp chat. And so we were like, did anyone stop you? Yes, me too. And so we just we were like, we think we have something here. So we started, we did like a really small capsule, got a lot of attention, and we were like, okay. So we did another capsule, and that's when we got featured on Vogue. And so things kind of just blew up from there.
Yeah, and your operation, if I'm remembering correctly, is relatively small.
Oh,
like, you have a seamstress that you work with, and
well, we work with a couple of vendors,
okay.
but primarily with one tailor that we have our tailor that we've been working with, like, on our personal things, but we work with other vendors as well, and we are keeping it really small. We're just trying to, do something that we can sustain from a financial standpoint. We're not looking for investors at this moment. We're just trying to kind of nail down, like, controlling how this business works, and it's a passion project for us. It's something that we all love to do, and it's fun, and it's something that we're doing on the side. As you mentioned, I'm an author, and that's my primary focus, is developing my career as a writer. And my sister is a teacher, and my mom runs an organization called Miss Tourism Ghana, which trains young women in the culture and to represent and promote Ghana's culture, both in Ghana and abroad. So those are all, like, we're all pretty busy.
Yeah.
So it's something that we just love, because since we were doing it for ourselves, we just decided to expand and see, and so far it's been really great. So
that's awesome. We've talked a little bit about this in the past, just how I've looked on the website, and it seems like it really is this luxury item. Can you talk a little bit about your heart for craftsmanship and artisan work in Ghana?
Yeah, absolutely. I am always floored by just sort of the level of talent and genius that is there. I mean, when we started really kind of digging into doing this business and just learning more about Batakari, I mean, it's just incredible. Like, there are different ways to make it, and different regions do it a little bit differently. But in short, apprentices take 3 years to learn how to make Batakari. It's a true skill. and it's something that's passed down from generation to generation. So
Wow.
it's a big deal, and it's something that provides, income to families. Like those who know how to do it make a great living.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we were really sort of thinking about as we were doing this business here for this market in the US and abroad is to make sure that this is not regarded as like something that's cheap or charity. Because I think that a lot of people feel when it comes to things that are from Africa or from the developing world that, I'll buy one and a hungry child gets one. And that's fine. I think that there's definitely a place for that kind of business model and that kind of charitable model. We need that. And Ghana is, definitely still developing. There are a lot of people that are in dire straits economically. So I don't want to belittle that. But what we really wanted to do with this company was shine a light on the craftspeople that are doing this amazing work. And if this to me is on the same level as like, the luxury items that are made in Italy by, when they say things like, 1,000 crystals were sewn onto this thing, it's like that's happening like constantly in Ghana and in West Africa and other parts of Africa. And so I really wanted to shine a light on that and be part of an industry, just a sea change in the industry where it's known for, this kind of luxury good. And that can be something that can provide more economic sustainability to the continent.
Yeah, well, I think it's more humanizing, a very humanizing approach as well, to see the people who are making these items, this cloth, that's a real skill and takes a real eye for design, seeing them as people and not a mission or a project.
Absolutely.
And acknowledging the worth in what they're doing that's on par with what and what any Westerner is doing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's incredible the work that they're doing, and yeah, I just think that it's important that people recognize that when they're getting these pieces are one of a kind for the most part. I mean, just the when they make, it's very difficult to remake the same weave because it's all like a couple people sitting down and like, and doing this. So when you're getting a piece, it's art.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like, I mean, it's obviously not all sunshine and rainbows all the time because nothing is.
No.
But it seems like it's going well for you being in business with your family, because that's not necessarily how it works all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it now for a little over a year officially, and I think that how we have all come into it is that our relationship with each other is more important than this business. And I mean, we sat down and had very frank conversation before we started because we know each other's weaknesses. We know each other, and so we had some frank conversations about a lot of things, and we kind of all made a point to make sure that, this business is fun, and it's about our relationship is more important than whatever happens with this business. And we invited God into it. We're like, God, you're our fourth partner. And, and we take that very seriously. So, in all of the things, like, I tend to be the control freak of the group. And so I'm like, we're going to do this and this and this and this. And why aren't we doing this? And my sister's like, let's consult our fourth partner. And that's a great way to shut me up and to humble me. And, and ditto with each other. We're all conscious of the fact that, this is a great thing, but we have to make sure that we are all humble and, deferent. Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost a luxury of it being a passion project. It kind of, it's taken maybe some of the pressure off of it to like, you don't have any investors at this point, so there's not necessarily the same pressure to like I don't know, make something of it, that you owe something to somebody who's put some money in or whatever. It's all, you guys are channeling your money and your passion into this, which not a lot of people get to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something, which is why we're really sort of careful to keep it sustainable financially.
Yeah.
Because one of the other things is that we want to be sure that we are paying all the vendors that we work with, a good rate, not like trying to take advantage of like, the exchange rate in our favor, and just really trying to be conscious of all those things. So just keeping it really small. And one of the reasons why I personally am sort of wary of investors is because I don't want anyone coming in and changing that particular piece, which is really important to us, that, we want to make sure that like everyone that's working with us is making good enough, making a living, so.
Yeah, which is so hard to do when you get on a much larger scale.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we were so focused on making sure that really positioning this as a luxury brand, because it's like these are craftspeople that are like, using their skill and their time and their talent to put these things together. We're putting our skill and talent together and designing the pieces. And we just want to make sure that and we want to give people a really good experience. So we just want to make sure that no one is getting taken advantage of, and this is all like a good thing,
Yeah. I want to take a minute to say emphatically that I want to hear from you. Click on the link to my website and shoot me a message using the Contact Me page. It's super easy to find. Just in case you don't believe me, it's marybsafer.com/contact-me. If you are a Christian single, please let me know if you want to be on the show. If you have someone that you'd like to hear from, I am all ears and I would love to hear your suggestions. Now, let's get back to the interview. We're going to switch gears just a little bit. You had talked about inviting God into your process, into your business process. And I'm sure it's the same thing as an author, inviting God into that process. Can you give us a little bit of an overview, or as detailed as you want, really, of your faith journey?
Yeah, absolutely. My faith journey. So when I was 12 years old, my parents sent me to Ghana to secondary school, and I lived with my grandmother. And my grandmother is incredibly faithful. She's very, very, very faithful. And so living with her, we had morning devotion every day, and it was just a completely different way than I was, raised with my parents. And so I became born again at 12, and, I did the altar call, and it was this big moment. And because I mentioned earlier that I'm a bit of a control freak, and I think that my personality has always been about perfectionism, achievement, etc. And I think the irony of Christianity for me, and one of the things that has kept me a Christian all these years, I think, is it was the one thing that I couldn't achieve. I couldn't finish. I couldn't just tick that off the list. To do Christianity, done. You know what I mean? And so, it's been, I think in my earlier years, it was all about trying so hard to be good. And over the years, I've just kind of realized that you can't, that's the point. You didn't save yourself. You can't save yourself. It's you are loved, and just accept that. And that has been difficult and also freeing at the same time. So
in your college days, you had a little bit of a putting Jesus in the little
absolutely
drawer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I became born again in Ghana when I was 12, and when I returned to the States, I was 15. And I remember because of the way the school system works there, I had finished high school. So I was starting to apply for college. And, you know, everything, I just was so glad to be back in the States. And it just felt like my faith was incongruent with like the college experience and being in America. It felt like that was like a completely different thing. And I remember when I first went to college, I requested to be on the wellness corridor where there was no drinking and, you know, no drugging, any of that kind of stuff. And I was on the wellness corridor. And, but I just remember, you know, my first couple days there, like it was just like, clear to me that if I was going to keep this Christianity thing up, like I felt very isolated, and I had already felt really isolated being in Ghana and going through being the American girl in Ghana, and I just didn't want to have that again. And then the school that I went to was very liberal, and a lot of people that I encountered didn't believe in God at all. So I remember having a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh, you believe in Jesus? That's so cute." And, you know, it was just considered so ridiculous. And it was an anti-intellectual thing. And so in my desperation to fit in, I was just like, let me just put this Jesus thing away right now and just like live my best college life. And I did that. And, a guy I met in college who was like the guy, you know. I remember feeling so proud that like I got him, we got together, and we were dating for a while, and I'd never really spoken. I mean, he didn't know about my faith because I had, really kind of suppressed it. And we dated for a couple years, and my judgment was so off, and so I just it sent me like running back to God, and I kind of went overboard. Another feature of my personality. I'm like, pendulum, Anyway, so I, that was like sort of the beginning of me kind of going back to God and just kind of having lots of just re-examining my faith and what would it look like as an adult woman. And so yeah, that's been my faith journey. It's been a long road, but it's been okay. I've learned a lot, and I think most of the big lesson has been you can't save yourself, and just relax. Relax. God did it already.
How does that lesson kind of play out in your day-to-day now?
I mean, yeah, I just think I just have to, because my natural switch is to be like, I must do everything and conquer the world by 6 p.m. tonight. It's something that I'm always, I just know that I have to be aware of that. And anytime I get in that zone or in that mode, I'm like, okay, stop, relax, take a minute. And there are days when I'm better at doing that than others. There are weeks when I'm better at doing that than others. And, anytime I feel myself sliding back into that mode, I have to take a step back. I remember probably in 2013, I had like a really scary moment where I was like overworking, working. I must finish everything today. And I passed out, and it was really scary because I'd never, I'd always been in control, and I fainted and was rushed to the emergency room, and they were like, well, the only thing that's wrong with you is that you're dehydrated and you're exhausted. And that will be $7,000. And I was like, $7,000 to be told you need to sleep and drink water. And that was when I was just like, whoa, okay, like you're killing yourself, know? And again, I'm reminded of that anytime I find myself like slipping into like my crazy workaholic mode, or, it's just like, remember that it's all good. And the thing that I'm realizing too is that I formerly thought that like if I didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done, and and now I'm seeing things are happening that that are so much better than what I would have imagined happening. Like even this company, I never I've always been into fashion, but I never would have imagined that we would have this. And it's like, God had that in his back pocket the whole time.
Just got goosebumps when you said that,
You know,
because that's
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I think that I'm learning to let go of my vision of what my life should have been, and letting God dictate. It's very difficult for me, but slowly, like with each little thing, like I get more and more encouraged. Like, oh, okay. If I just, not that if I hang back and play dead, everything's gonna come my way, but being open to the adventure of not knowing, what's exactly going to happen today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think some of that ties into the whole singleness thing, because I don't want to make it seem as if I don't still worry about it or think about it, because I do. But for a really long time, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm not married yet. And now I'm 30, I'm 31, I'm 32, I'm 35, I'm 38, I'm 40. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I still feel that, like, what is happening? My birthday is next week. I'm going to be 41. Or actually, my birthday is on Friday. I'm going to be 41.
Yay.
And I'm like,
yeah.
But I'm also, because of the way my life has been unfolding, as I've kind of let go, and really just kind of let God, I feel very hopeful. That I feel hopeful, and I feel like I trust that whatever the circumstance it's going to be, it's just going to be so much cooler than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
And so I'm embracing that.
That's such a powerful lesson, and such a powerful, it ministered to me right now.
Amen.
Where I am.
Amen. Thank you, Holy Spirit.
feeling like you have to do like exactly what you said. If I don't do it, it's not going to get done. Is such an overwhelming way to live your life, and it's totally not conscious of God being in the equation.
Amen. That's so true. Yeah.
That we're strongest in our insufficiency and in our weakness, because that's where he gets to show up and do immeasurably more than we could ask or imagine.
Amen. Now I'm getting tears in my eyes, because that's one of my favorite verses, exceedingly abundantly far above all we could ever ask or think. And that is something that I'm seeing play out in my life just over the last few years. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. I'm starting to get it. And it's freeing, because it's, like you're saying, it's very exhausting to live your life. Like, if I don't do it, then it's all going to fall to pieces,
Yeah. Well, I just want to finish with this one last question. Will you tell me one thing that's hard right now and one thing that's good right now?
One thing that's hard right now is accepting that it's not the way, like, it being my life is not the way I expected it to be, or accepting that I am not in control and that I have to wait, or I have to, I just have to kind of wait.
Yeah.
But I think that's also like something that's good, that I'm taking a lot of pressure off of myself, and I'm giving it back to God, and I'm just saying, like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, okay.
Yeah.
You I mean, okay, well, you tell me what's next. And and it's freeing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was really great chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
Hearing more about your story and your business and your life, and really encouraging. So,
Thank you. Thanks for having this platform to have this kind of conversation.
Huge thanks to Nana for being my very, very brave guinea pig and very, very first interviewee. Tune in just 2 weeks for our next episode. If you're picking up what I'm putting down so far, be a doll and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for listening. The Unsuitable podcast is a production of Mary B. Seyfried, LLC. Producers are Mary B. Seyfried and Chad Rollinson. Basically, I do the hustle, and Chad makes me sound good. He also wrote the theme music for this show. He asked that his official title be Excellence Oversight Coordinator. All creative content not otherwise credited is the intellectual property of Mary B. Seyfried, LLC.